Hello, everybody, and welcome to Off the Table's Life on Marr'd. We're so excited that you guys are all here. We've just been getting super hype behind the scenes. Sorry that we started a little bit late, but you guys were super patient, so thank you. I am Summer. I'm the host of this channel. We're going to go around and do introductions and tell you who will be playing today. So I'm going to start out. I am going to be playing Silhouette, who is an empathetic explorer who speaks for the land. So next up, Kienna, would you like to introduce yourself and your character?
Hey everybody, super excited to be here. I am full of all that, nervous and excited energy, and I can't wait to delve into this lovely game. I will be playing Natia, the mad adept who sees beyond.
Awesome. I'm so excited for that. Matt, if you would like to introduce yourself and your character.
Hi, yes, my name is Matthew Mercer. I'm the Dungeon Master for Critical Role on Geek and Sundry Switch, and today I'll be playing the part of Marduk, the brash warrior who rides the lightning.
Perfect. Next up, Marsie.
Hi, my name is Marsie. I'm a Monty Cook Games asset member, and I'm the GM for the Owl of Lycia. Today, I will be playing Veriside, who is a impulsive explorer who names.
And last but not least, Tia. Hello.
Hi, I'm Mytia Zimmer, Laura Lania here on Twitch. I'm playing Atropos, or Addie, my weird adept who is a time traveler.
And then Grant, our wonderful GM for tonight.
You know, Summer Job, when I run here on Off the Table, I want you to know I'm a game master who's going to keep it stable, and you, the players, are all more than able. Tonight, we're slinging dice on the Cypher system, throwing clues so fast you're sure to miss them. We're playing with Tia, Kienna, Matt, and Marsie. It's my first time running Cypher, so don't judge too harshly. But I'm game. I'm saying it's going to be off the chain. We've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and I want you all to know, watch it on the Twitch and read it on the Twitters, that when Bad Boy Grant is in the building, woo! Showtime.
Rap God.
Our pro wrestling promo of the night.
Beautiful.
So good.
Incredible.
Hard times. And with that, are we ready to get into the game, Summer?
I'm ready.
So the game we're playing tonight is Cypher System. Here on Off the Table, they run many different role-playing game systems throughout the week, from 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons to story-focused games like Polaris, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I asked them if I could run Cypher System this season, 3 episodes. And I wanted to set it in one of my favorite settings from a game called Sorcerer, called The Dictionary of Moo by Judd Carlman. This was printed in 2006. And it's a source book that's written in a dictionary format, alphabetically, with scrawlings of a mad wizard on every page. And I thought it would be really fun to bring it into a story-focused game like this, as well as add some other influences. Really, this session is a love letter to role-playing games, which have been a huge part in my development as a human being. So I will read the framework for this adventure setting. Once upon a time, as far north as north can go, there lived the greatest people that this world will ever know. We cannot look upon them as they were, but we can understand them as they die, melting like a snowflake in the sun. The beauty of this people and the love they had for their queen was poured into the crystal of Alizace, which serves as the fulcrum for the balance of all things, order and chaos, love and hate, life and death. This world has begun to die. The source of the wound is within the crystal. In order to heal the crystal, a family of knights, knights of the distant star, are being summoned to a location. I want you to picture in your mind's eye a large stone table, but not any normal stone. Stone that was crafted out of a meteorite, black, steaming, strange runes carved in every nook and cranny of it. The first to arrive at the stone is Atropos. Atropos knew the location she was to be summoned to, and she waited for the next member of her family. Atropos, I'd like you to read your character prompt that you wrote. And the theme of the prompt is, today was very hard.
Today, I am aware of emptiness, the atramentus nothing between the stars. My family has always been the condensate motes of what I can only describe as love in my life. Without them, my world is devoid of color. There is a darkness spreading, something that sneaks to snuff out the light of all the stars. I feel it. I see it in my dreams. The pyramid is the only answer. It is my mountain. For all my premonitions, I cannot foresee the end. And I am afraid.
Atropos waits at the table, and please award yourself 1 experience point for responding to your prompt. She waits for several hours. It's a hot day, a day like the breath of Gehenna, like the breath of hell. And she sees a figure coming in the distance. She's not certain if it's a witch or a wildling, but her lost sister, Mytia the Mad, arrives. Mytia, would you please read your prompt?
Today is very hard. The strings of fate have disentangled themselves, and they all meet at the horizon. They are hard to look at. They have aligned themselves in perfect geometry. They converge above the pyramid to one bright point, bright stars that look down at me and laugh, but I can't look away. The strings shouldn't be separated neatly like this. Fate is not ordered. It is tied and intertwined and split into the fabric of reality. Straight line and straight paths lead you astray. Simplicity is duplicity when life is anything but straightforward. It is easier to be lost in the unknown entanglement than laid out bare in the vulnerability of the stars. I have spent so long days, months, seconds, weeks, years, minutes, all of time, no time at all, hiding from them, from their laughter, from their blessed curses, from their silence as I scream at them for answers until there is nothing left. I've plucked my strings and followed the tangents to unravel me, unravel answers, unravel truth, unravel reality elsewhere, to where the strings keep unwinding and untwining as the universe plays cat's cradle. But they all meet here, pinned by the needle of the pyramid to this point. Fates are meeting. They glow with familiarity. White, gold, purple, red, love, home. And they guide everything here in all of its terrible inevitability.
And Mytia, I'd like you to take an experience point for that prompt. I also want you to know that your fingernails look incredible. I noticed as while you're gesticulating and emoting, I was like, man, my nail game is on point. I mean, I trim my little pig knuckles. But
I mean, that might be worth a second experience point.
That's true.
I'm going to give you a second.
Yes.
Yes.
And the third sister arrived, shining like the golden sun itself. The youngest arrives. And she is dropped off by a dashing figure who is riding a handsome white horse. You recognize him by his face immediately, Prince Datatreya, the one true Khan of the plains. And he leaves the youngest of the sisters, politely bows, and almost as if to beckon for a kiss. Silhouette, do you kiss your betrothed?
Absolutely.
All right. Lips or forehead?
Lips.
All right. No tongue, though. And then he takes off on his white horse. Silhouette, would you read your prompt?
Today she thrums like I've never felt. Her heartbeat quickens the closer I move toward the pyramid, and I can feel her fear. Though whether her fear is for herself or for me, I do not know. The drumming underfoot pushes me forward, but it also calls me home. My love awaits my return, and his unease in my going lingers in my fingertips. I'm itching to turn back. Even so, it was written in the stars long before my birth that I would leave my love, my plains, to face a darkness ever growing on this, my dying Marr'd. Fate ties me to that glistening pyramid on the far horizon, and I cannot deny this, the quest I was burdened with the moment I was blessed at conception. Though I fear failure, I trust in my heart. She's vibrating underfoot, ever anxious. I just pray it is a foolish worry, proven misguided soon.
I award you your experience point, and I give one to the prince who's toddled off on his handsome white horse. The last sister arrives, a sister not of the same house, but of the same family, adopted and grafted into the line as an olive branch is grafted into a tree. And Veriside, would you please read your prompt for me?
Today, we are faced with an impossible task, an impossible question asked to the impossible scholars in crystal towers, to heal water since poisoned, to clear air since suffocated with dust, to seed earth since cleansed in the unholy cleansing of life from its pores, where these barren lands host barren unbelievers who squabble over pebbles and scorching sun-dried plains, while dreamers in castles host diversions in forbidden skylit towers among the stars. And so up the squabblers gaze in the gentler swell of night to fill that liminal vision with fleeting memory of no history, filling their chalices with starlight. And the stars, the stars, the stars, hearken to a better and brighter glimpse of a new world just beyond the darkened veil. Dreams play and sink in memory like warm sand, cradled in their palms as though they held all the riches in the world in those hands. And when they blink, the sand slips between their rough fingers to the endless, seeping and billowing dunes, and they are still tethered to this land by their feet. The Atlanteans hold the answer for all, and for this reason, in this hold none. They do not concern themselves with the stars. The last god is the face of the celestial that stretches from horizon to horizon to horizon to give us reprieve, to turn our sand to silver, to aid our dreams and calm the wind, to let our breath be easier under the darkened veil. And the stars, the stars, the stars are the pores, the pox on the skin of the last god, the breaks and wounds and scars of our silent guardian. Those same stars are the burning sunlit sky, scorching and clawing its way into our last haven. The stars are not to be trusted. We must trust ourselves. And today is hard because I do not trust myself.
Veriside, take an experience point and a second experience point for the cosplay.
I did a thing.
And last but not least, the least of which is the faithful squire following behind him on a tiny ass, is Brother Marduk. Would you please read your prompt?
I love them because they are free. They are the elements unbridled, caressing the fields with fire to carve paths of renewal on a stagnant world. I love them because as far as they may scatter, they are always connected to myself and each other. The tethers of blood and joy are eternal, and no matter the struggle, I know in my heart that nothing can come between us. I love them because they are pillars of intellect, new spirits with old intuition, who interpret the lands to become sense and order. They each strike a line of color brighter than the brightest star, a color missing till they took breath and walked, leaving us all in the wake of their warmth to follow. I love them for their unique gifts, sharing a part of themselves with the souls who entwine with their destinies. Selfless and endless, their mercy casts aside doubt and fear. I love them as vessels of the seasons, each changing the world with their nature as they shift. They dance between their paths, mingling their genius. I love them because I am Marduk, and I am made where their paths converge, a product of their love unto me.
Mr. Marduk, you just earned yourself an experience point. Thank you for that. Marduk and his portly squire, Sebastian Pigwhistle, jowls, sweat, heaving and humming, arrive at the large stone table. It's a huge structure, miraculous, radiant. My question for the group, and I would like Veriside to answer this. When was the last time you were all together? How long ago and where?
If I remember correctly, we were together 2 years ago for not our uncle, but your uncle's cousin first removed funeral. I think that's what we were there for.
When you were last at the funeral, which of you left on good terms, and did any of you leave on ill terms? You may each answer. Let's start with Silhouette.
I left on good terms.
Of course, youngest. Everyone loves her. The baby. How about you, Mytia?
Mytia left on not the greatest of terms with her sister Veriside, having tried to give her another lecture about following your duties and what you need to do. Another argument yet again. And they left off with some unsavory words exchanged between them.
Atropos, what has changed about Marduk since you last saw him?
Everyone is always constantly changing and constantly moving through time. It must have been his hair. Or did he get taller? Is that the right timeline? We're still on good terms. It's the hair.
And Marduk, on what terms did you leave with your sisters?
I left on good terms, but concerned. Being the second born, and the path of confusion, or at least difficulty some of my sisters have come upon, I feel the responsibility to still hold the threads together, but realize as time goes on and they've all grown into their own, how little power I have to do so, and that frustrates me.
Now, I would like the group of you to converse as siblings would, seeing each other for the first time in a long time. Which of you speaks first and to whom? And each of you may ask each other one question. And while you're doing that, I'm going to let you do this in private for a second, because the game master shouldn't know everything about his players.
I think that Silhouette would speak first. It's kind of like a bubbling over of excitement as soon as she sees all of you, almost like jumping out of her skin. And I think she runs up to Veriside first and throws her arms around her and says, "V, I've missed you so terribly."
Do you have tattoos?
Oh, yes,
That's
I do.
so amazing. You look so good with them. Don't show Natia.
I don't think I can keep them hidden exactly.
As this is transpiring, Marduk kind of puts his hand out to signal Sebastian to stay back. This is not of matters for him to include himself, and approaches Natia. places a heavy hand on the shoulder and kind of just looks at her directly in the eyes to catch her attention and just says, "My sister, you farewell?"
Uh, who are... Wait, you are... And she kind of looks like she's grabbing onto something that you can't see.
With his other hand, he reaches up and kind of places it in her grasp, so she grasps something and just waits for an answer.
Mardoch, it's been so long, or maybe no time at all. You have always been here, I think.
As much as I can be. That as much is true. It's good to see you, sister.
Yes. And she seems to retreat within herself, and she's pulling at frayed strings off of this strange scarf you have never seen off of her before. Kind of had bones and shells and glass in it, and she's just tugging at it.
Mardoch pulls his hand back as she does so, knowing that, her behavior requires space, and just smiles back and gives a nod before he turns a little wider to the rest of the group to take in the scene of the rest of the family gathering.
We've got the table, but we've got no cake? What? Where's the food? Come here, all of you.
Silhouette runs over and says, "Addie, hi. I've missed you."
I think I've missed you. Didn't we? Yeah, I've missed you. Sorry, I get a little confused with the when and the where, but we are here now.
We are. And as you requested, it's been on quite a journey. I'm not sure how much has made the journey well, and he kind of snaps his fingers, and you watch as the portly Sebastian kind of saunters up, his head bowed so he doesn't actually make eye contact with the rest of you, but he pulls a large satchel forward, pulls open a large piece of sackcloth of some kind to unveil a small package. As he pulls back the twine and unwraps these layers and layers of crinkling paper within, you see what looks to be a small baked dome of some kind, simple but elegant and sugary. And as Mardoch takes it and places it onto the table, says, "I figured you'd probably want cake."
I knew there was going to be cake. I knew.
You did.
So,
Plates?
How have you all been? It's so good to see you and all be in the same place. And she's just kind of like trying to get her arms around as many of you as she can. And she's just like, it is so good to be back together.
as Mardoch just waiting, kind of stepping back from the sisters meeting here, takes a small knife out and just begins cutting small pieces of this, kind of listening intently.
Kind of reach a hand up to Silhouette's face and just lightly touch it. She's always been special to me, our golden child.
She just kind of like leans into it and just puts her hand over her sister's hand, and she just says, "Our circumstances aren't the best, are they?"
I think that they could be better, yes, but they are what they are.
And I think she turns to Mytia and she kind of like holds out a hand to her as if to like gesture for her to come closer.
It is then that the stone table cracks. Sebastian falls onto his rear end. The sky darkens. Clouds form. Was there anyone that was not able to ask a question? And Veriside, I will let you ask your question now with my headphones off, but I may hear the answer.
Okay. I'm going to go to Atropos and say, "Sister, you are acting strangely. Are you all right?"
I think that I'm fine. No, I'm fine. I just have been away from you for too long. Too long in time.
Agreed. It's been far too long. I've been cloistered in crystal towers, and it's been what's the word I want to use here? Socially chaste, I think would be the correct. It's been so long since I've even spoken in such they don't let you speak there unless it means something, and rarely does it ever.
I don't think that anywhere in the world should be devoid of your voice, my love.
Oh, other people would disagree sometimes, but
Well, they don't know what they're talking about, so get rid of them. She kind of starts pacing.
All right. There's then Sebastian speaks up. He's like, "My lord sire, knight of the distant stars. She comes." And a light rain begins to fall on the red, dusty planet of Marr'd. An uncommon occurrence,
rain.
quite rare. And a tall, thin woman wearing a cream-colored dress. Her hands dark tanned. On her face is a mask of clay. Her eyes completely covered. From the mask, tentacles, sharp, vicious, moving wildly, harsh like steel, like a mechanical thing, is making her way towards the stone table. She stands a good 6.5 feet tall, I would say. Her skin, a very, very deep crimson, almost the tone of raspberry chocolate. And as she approaches, she holds a long copper snake in her hand, purely metallic. Its head is looking to and fro. And she approaches the stone table. Would one of you like to attempt to identify her?
Well, based on the statement of Sebastian, his proclamation of warning, I imagine, and my nature to try and defend my family, I would like to very much identify her immediately.
All right, so I'd like you to make an intellect check. This is a task of 4, and here's how it works. You may roll a 20-sided die. On a 12 or higher, you succeed. I'm going to rule that Sebastian is an asset, so that will lower it to 3, meaning you need to get a 9 or higher.
That is a 4.
You're not too sure who she is. Now, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to know who she is with a consequence, or would you like to leave it a mystery?
Ooh, that's a tempting choice, but I would say what's a fun story without a little consequence? So I would like to know who she is.
And she speaks. "Marduk, knight of the distant stars, he who carries the sword of the moon, he whose eyes will be the first to see my own. I come bearing the gift, the key to Lemuria, land of the Witch King, land of shadow, land of darkness, where no monuments stand, save for one. The pyramid of Urt, where the crystal of Alizés lies. Carry this key, and your family may pass through Lemuria, but it comes at a cost. One of you must allow me to gaze upon you, and I want you to know I prefer you." Sebastian kind of speaks up. My lord, allow her to gaze upon me. And she goes, "Quiet, you."
I look up towards the floating visage, glancing out the side of my eyes towards my sisters and back to it, and say, "Do you ensure perhaps you wouldn't instead take a piece of cake?"
It's good cake.
It's not
She
that good.
ponders it. The serpent's eyes fix on the cake, and a violet ray emerges. It's emitted from the serpent's eyes and disintegrates the cake. And with that, please take another experience point yourself and take another to give to any sister that you choose for allowing me to add a consequence.
I will
Explained. Yeah, she's like, I'm not hungry.
Oi, you cheeky bugger, that was my cake.
That was also my cake. I draw my sword.
She smirks.
I've been looking forward to that for a long time, you see. It's a family reunion. You're ruining it.
It is not a family reunion. You have a job to do, a task.
Why
A
can't
task
it be
I
both?
was required to assist in, and I am not one to be disturbed. Do you even know what year it is?
Of course I do. I just don't want to talk about it.
Right. One of you
I
must.
flap my jacket.
One of you must see my eyes. I promise no harm will come to you, but I will see you.
There is no recourse from this plan you've put before us.
No, but carry the key, and it will keep the Witch King's closest servants away from you. And trust me, I know. With that, I would like Mytia to make an intellect check, difficulty 2, meaning you need a 6 or higher.
That is a success.
That's a success. So you know that this individual is Zarina, the 9th bride of the Witch King. She is one of his brides, though she has been pushed further and further away from the king himself to the point where she has established her own baronies and is beginning to show signs of sympathy to the lands around Lemuria, which is a land none of you have served in.
Mytia naturally starts walking towards her. Says,
Okay.
Says, Zarina, and she, through her eyes, none of you see this, but she reaches out and she plucks the string that seemed to emerge from Zarina, that seems to be tied to her sisters, and to her brother, and to the leading elsewhere. But she takes the one that is tied to her. Well, it seems our fates are tied, as they would be if you were here. Yeah, perhaps. What wisdom do you have to show to us?
I give you the key. It is my duty in fulfilling a promise. And with that, she sort of darts her eyes over at Silhouette. Silhouette, I have a question for you. Did Prince Atropos use his influence to convince the 9th bride of the Witch King to betray the Witch King himself? Or was there some other pact made?
To Silhouette's knowledge, no. He did not use his influence.
She informs you that he did, though. She goes, her betrothed crossed into our territory. He did things, secret things, a display of force. And he now carries a secret. She turns, and almost from the earth itself rises up a large, hulking, gorilla-esque figure riding what appears to be a buffalo. He carries a large axe. Feathers fall around his face. His nose looks like an overgrown potato. And he has 4 eyes across his forehead. And you know he is the Khan. Now, Silhouette is betrothed to the one true Khan. This gent spells Khan with a Q. And he feels he's in charge. He goes, Prince Dodatreya came into our lands, made deals, and we are happy to oblige. With that, we give you the key. But if you're not going to look at our eyes, you're going to have to go it alone. We cannot protect you, as we are sworn to. And he actually kneels before your family, and much to the chagrin of the Tsarina, 9th bride of the Witch King, she kind of rolls her non-visible eyes into the back of her head. Trying to impress the knights, my lord. Shut up. It's a lady. Now, are any of you are you going to accept the key to pass through Lemuria unharmed by the Witch King? But someone will have to look her in the eyes, or you can chance it, and you can attempt to pass through the Witch King's lands to the pyramid. But you may be at greater risk.
I've seen many things. I will look into the eyes.
No, I don't think you should.
Her choice is made. She bids you to come over, and she turns you away from the party, the tall lady's back.
Just before she does, I steal a quick, solid glance at Nadia for a moment, just kind of in our time, and then continue to turn away from my family.
There's nothing wrong with the fates. The fates look like they are in order. This is the natural order of things. With that, she removes the mask, and you see beautiful pale eyes. Like they appear to be the color of a freshly fallen snow. Snow is a foreign concept to the other members of your family, but you know there are times and places in the universe where this frosty substance of soft ice exists. And you even feel that there is snow on this planet if you were to travel far enough north. And her white eyes look at you. Thin gray rings around the pupils. They're beautiful, soft, and kind eyes. And then you feel what feels to be a dagger through your heart. And you are now marked by the bride of the Witch King. What that means is she has gazed upon you and she has marked you. This could be a good boon or it could be a horrible curse. We may not know, but Atropos, I'd like you to take an experience point and another point to give to another member of the party. And with that, she puts her mask down and almost in a very grateful tone, she says, thank you. It's a humble tone, as if she needed that. You don't know how long it's been since she's seen another living soul with her God-given eyes.
I can
And with
smell
that,
the snow.
Yeah, her serpent's head kind of looks to and fro. The hulking figure pulls out a giant chest, solid all around. One single rune sits on the top. This is the key, and it must be carried. Sebastian kind of shrugs. He goes, well, that looks like it'll burden us. It's my job to carry it, right? Would you like Sebastian to affix it to his travel beast?
Glancing back at Sebastian, I was like, well, you offered, friend.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. Hands together. With the legs, not the back. He's trying to impress your sisters, you feel.
Which, As he's doing this, I kind of subtly reach under and help him lift it without him realizing.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, and he notices. He kind of he glances over at Veriside. He's kind of like, strongest arm in all the charm. That's the way Sebastian plays the game. And then he coughs up and he goes, "Sorry, there was something caught in the throat." And with
I'm also going to help him lift it.
And he kind of looks over at Mytia. He goes, "Are you any good with knots?" And basically everyone does the job but him. Silhouette steers the donkey, and he's like, "I'm really helping here. I just want to play as a member of the party. But alas, Sebastian has a duty to perform."
Just muttering back and forth, there are not enough timelines to unsee this. There are not enough timelines to unsee this.
So
finest squire in all of battle him. Trust me.
He was also the only squire.
I wasn't going to mention, but yes.
And with that, the party is free to travel to Lemuria, land of the Witch King. It's all right. Take your time.
Down the wrong pipe.
The actual worst.
It is the worst.
When water betrays you.
It does. All right, we're good. Go ahead.
I'm watching Sebastian do all that lifting, made him hot and heavy.
Tuckered me up.
It's just the way God made me. Lord Marduk. Summer, if you would change our overlay to the Roll20 overlay, just so the audience at home can sort of see, as you're coming to the gates of Lemuria, there is a tall edifice. And at this gate, it appears that there is an army gathered with blood-stained banners, armored head to toe. There is only the 5 of you approaching, 6 counting Sebastian, who's toddling along. There is a dead smell in the air, almost a nether shroud of fog with a tinge of green. And Mytia, you see many, to you, this is like a beautiful rainbow. You've never seen so many different colored threads connecting a body of people together. This is clearly an army from all over. As you're approaching, in what manner do you approach? Who leads the way? Veriside.
I do it.
Do the thing. How do you approach this intimidating force? There must be 500 soldiers there.
My chest is puffed out. I'm walking up, and you guys can see me as I walk up. I keep like looking back for reassurance, but I keep going as well. It's this like sort of half step, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
I step forward to show support, and there is a heavy instinct in me to carve the path forward, but also I understand that my sisters are in many ways stronger than I am, and I don't want to step on those toes. So I step forward in support, but don't overtake the lead that you're giving.
Silhouette, what about this situation, everything that's happened today, makes you feel the most unnerved? Or are you fine?
I'm in good spirits. I'm trying to remain positive, but I think the shift in 2 of my sisters is probably what is the most unnerving. I think Silhouette kind of hovers back and forth between Mytia and Addie, kind of just checking in on them every so often to make sure that they're all right, and that as we move forward, they're with the group.
Okay, you're doing good. A pale rider approaches, and this rider, he's coming out with a white flag, a flag of truce. Narrow features, very long. You can even see them from a distance. He has long, bright, illuminated teeth, almost as if there is a faint orange glow coming off of them. There is one eye rolling around his head, and it's literally rolling around. It's a yellow eye kind of darting to and fro. and he has a very tall hat, comically tall. And I would like Veriside to make an intellect check. You see him coming.
Okay. Ooh. Can I do something first though while he comes? Is he wearing regalia that I might be able to maybe discern his name from?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gonna attempt to discern his name, spend that intellect point to do so, and I will make that roll first. I got an 18.
You got an 18. Excellent roll. You know immediately this man is named Bartolomus. And he is in fact a man, but he is known in many circles as a sorcerer. And you have heard that he has said that were you to throw a rock on this planet, you would probably hit the ghost of some dead thing. And you know he has power to conjure and command these spirits. Would you like him to teach you?
I'm gonna say yes, but maybe these guys shouldn't know. Ooh, they'll find out.
Do you ride to meet him alone?
If people want to follow me, I will
play out the scene. Why don't?
Yeah. As he approaches, I turn behind me. Marr'd, you're right behind me. I'm going to say, that is Bartolomus, the sorcerer, who is coming to meet us. He can teach a person how to commune with the dead and control them. It's a power that I have some interest in learning.
I trust your instincts, sister. I have to ask, though, and you knowing this individual at glance, do you trust friend or foe?
There are many things we can learn from friend and foe.
Can I use an action for a premonition while these guys are talking about this? You guys feel all ways about things, but I'm just gonna look into the future. So I can learn one random fact about a creature or location that is pertinent to a topic I designate. So I just want to see if he's going to do harm to my sister if walking into it is a trap.
So, go ahead and describe how this works mechanically to me. I'll look at your sheet. If you can hit the info button to put the text for that ability. All right, so premonition. It's an action, and you learn a random fact about the creature. Here's what you do know. He probably won't cause harm today, but he probably will tomorrow. And you know for a fact that while your party has that key, his voice stays the entire army of 500. Lose the key, and you are in great danger.
Don't lose the key. It'll be fine. It'll be fine!
Bartolomus, go ahead.
I was saying, I with hearing this over the shoulders, I lean into Veriside and kind of just with a look of knowledge, but somewhat apprehension. I say, I trust your word, but I will not leave your side if you are to speak with this thing.
Fine. And as we approach, I'm going to say, in Atlantis, we learned a great deal from demons. It is not unheard of to learn good things from that which we consider bad.
Very well. Your wisdom supersedes mine.
And so does my impulsive descriptor. So, yes, going to approach Bartolomus.
All right. And Marr'd rides beside you?
If he wishes, yes.
Directly.
Right. Yes. Yes, yeah. Fancy to see a night of the distant stars in Lemuria. And you. I know you. You used to live with them. And he points over to a group of people. you notice some Atlanteans that are bound in chains, being held by the army, being loaded into a wagon. He goes, "You left Atlantis before we took some new brides and grooms for the king."
I'm going to turn to Marduk and I'm going to clap my hand on his shoulder and whisper very quietly, "I have changed my mind almost completely." And I'm going to turn back to him and say, "Bartolomus, yes, I know you."
So, my instincts say that you'd like to learn a bit about taking control of a ghost, a demon, and that you're willing to learn. You know there's one that's been following you since the day began.
What?
He sort of breathes out a deep teal mist from his mouth, and it sort of envelopes itself around a personage of spirit behind you, and that you see the face of a young boy form behind you. And then the mist rides over him and the face is gone. He goes, "That's the knocker. He opens doors. And he seems to take a fancy to you."
At that word, my hand on my sword, not the large one, but the kind of medium-sized one at my side, my grip tightens ever so slightly.
"Easy there, young man. The key will protect you and your family, but you may not always have that key."
That's all right. They have me.
That is true. Your reputation precedes you. I take it you don't fancy what we're doing with the Atlanteans, and we are cross in this situation.
However did you guess?
What would you trade for them? I can't go back to the king empty-handed.
What do you value?
Freedom more than anything, but that is impossible to grant. Food, wine, provisions, other slaves. I don't know. What do you offer? What do you have?
And some cake.
How much?
Probably not enough.
Even a little bit of cake.
It was somewhat exploded by a serpent eye. Perhaps you would take instead a... I'm going to rummage through my pack. Can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to take out a silver mask and show it to him. It is an heirloom from my first house.
He recognizes it immediately. The house the knights burned. You're of that house.
My name is Veriside.
You notice your name is written in a book he has. As you speak your name, it appears in his book. But he tears out the page and he gives it to you in exchange for the mask. He calls out in a loud voice and raises his hand. You don't quite understand the language he's speaking. The soldiers, with exactness, release the Atlanteans, who are running to you as saviors, giving humble things as they begin crawling back to the
I'm going to kiss each one of them on the forehead as they
recognize you as well.
Go.
2 of them you knew personally. What were their names?
Their names, oh gosh, me naming things. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I can get
you want to do it?
I'm sorry.
I'm going to
Mercy thing. So the first one is Dorothy. And the second one is, sorry, this is why I got this deck. You can buy these decks on roll20.net. And the second one is Elowin. So you know Elowin and Dorothy. Elowin is curvy, loud, and amicable, and we can get rid of those. So Elowin and Dorothy, you recognize both of them. They studied in the same school as you. And they will not end up brides of the Witch King. But it cost you your name, which was exchanged back for the mask. And you can tell he respects you enough that he doesn't want to know your name. He wants to forget it. And he is a sympathetic to your cause. With that, the armies they part like an ocean if they existed. Oceans are mythological things on this planet. They let you know that you're going to need to pass through the gash. At the end of the gash, you will find the pyramid. But be very careful. Maths are practiced there. Sciences are practiced there. They are not practiced by a living thing. And with that, do you depart or do you stay?
I'm going to take out my compass and look at it for a moment, my small white compass with a dove that continually spins in a circle pointing off in a random direction, and see
It's not very random. It's pointing towards the direction of the gash. And you know the direction of the gash because you served in Octon Lake, and it's not very far from there. This pyramid is near, Marduk actually knows this, it's near the border of Lemuria and Battlehymn, in disputed territory. If there was to be a battle, the armies of High Brazil would defend that territory. So it's a safer land to be.
I kind of... Go ahead.
I turn to Atropos and say, well, at the very least, it steers us towards clearer waters. I know some of the path, but I trust your intuition over mine. Do you wish to lead?
Of course. Thank you, brother.
Carry on. Sebastian, pick up your pace. You're dragging.
I do.
Sorry. I'm riding with the gout. Probably got like 10, 12 years on every one of you. Sebastian's like 3 years younger than everyone, even still. He just has aged very poorly. And Sebastian Pigwhistle, the unsung hero of the Dictionary of Moo, carries on. With that, we will advance the scene. You're approaching a large, dark edifice. The sandstorm begins to pick up and whip around. It's almost as if there's a curtain of wind-blown sand and dust parts. The reveal an ominous sight of a black pyramid rising from desert that reaches in every direction. Though the continual sandstorm that flows around it can tear flesh from the bone, turn mountains to dust, the structure appears completely untouched, though there is a large crack, the only mark on this black stone surface that faces you. What do you do, and how do you approach?
Does this sandstorm completely envelop the pathway to this pyramid? Are we in danger?
No, it's just heavy. It's obscuring your vision slightly, but you have enough tools about you that it's more of a nuisance than an obstacle.
Okay. Sisters, have you means of preparation? Anything you wish to do before we step closer to this ill omen?
I just want it to be over.
Well, then haste shall be made. Hit, and I'll kick the sides of my horse to pick up a little speed. We don't want to go too quickly into this unseen territory, but
yes,
playing sentinel on the path.
The rune on the key, the large chest that was handed that Sebastian is toting, begins to glow an eerie green color. And you notice he seems to get a little nervous, and he asks Silhouette, he goes, "Little one, should I cover this? Do you feel safe around it? Do you?"
We've been told multiple times at this point not to lose it. I think she would say, we should cover it. We don't want to draw attention.
Right. And Shifty. And he looks over at Natia. I mean, Natty. Natia.
Yeah.
What do you say?
You see Natia reach out her hand. I want to scan this.
Okay. Go ahead and put that ability in roll 20, and I'll check. So it costs you 2 intellect points, and you can scan an area equal to roughly a 10-foot cube, including all objects and creatures that are in that area. The area must be within a short range. Scanning an object reveals its level, how powerful, dangerous, etc. So this object, is highly dangerous. This is, a 9th level artifact of sorts. In fact, it's beyond an artifact. This is an object that can only be used one time. It is an object that holds potential, promise, and secret. This is a cipher. And exactly what sort of cipher it is and what it does, you're not too certain. Would you like to attempt to figure out?
I would like to try to figure it out.
Can I assist her?
Yes.
I have scan as well, so would that make it easier for her?
We'll say that you're using her as an asset. So this is very challenging. There's powerful magics that have been put on this, and it is difficult to figure out. Now, go ahead and do a with reducing it by the asset, and you can spend effort if you'd like to reduce it a little more by spending a couple points from your pool. Go ahead and make an intellect task check for me. Let me know if you have any other skills that are applicable.
Is that just a straight intellect roll?
No, only Natia will roll.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I have anything unless Seize the Unseen could be possibly put into this.
Go ahead and make a roll, and it will be a 3 at this point. You have some help.
Okay. That's a failure.
So you're not quite able to discern what it is. Veriside, do you want to know the name of this?
I can, if there's writing on it, I can attempt to decipher it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have that ability at my disposal.
Now, Natia, I would like you to take 2 points of damage to your intellect pool.
Ooh.
Yes. In your mind, it's like you feel like right in the front of your brain a pain forming.
Yeah, so you watch as Natia reaches out her hands to try in her mind to pluck at the strings and try to decipher them. And you see that faint kind of glow about her, the white glow that she tends to have when she does these strange rituals. However, she seems to flinch back and staggers and holds her staff with the staff you've never seen before with a large skull on it, and she holds and steadies herself. It's a horse skull that she holds on. She kind of steadies herself.
Is it a horse skull shaped like the head of Marduk's horse?
Kind of.
Somebody ate their horse. Yes. Veriside, as you are preparing to decipher it, you hear a faint voice, almost at the volume of a whisper behind you, say, "Don't." But do you?
I'm gonna whisper.
A ghost is following you.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna be like, why?
It doesn't respond. You would have to summon it. Which would be an intellect test.
I'm curious about this ghost. I will try to summon it.
All right. Difficulty test 3.
Okay. I'm going to spend some effort on this one.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's 2.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Oh no.
I rolled a 1.
Oh no. It's happened.
All right.
No.
I'm the only one saying yes.
You know, you learn the name, and the name is deep and dark. And if you dare speak it, you feel that you may not be able to speak again. That is what you feel in your heart of hearts. Now, whether that's true or not is another thing, but you feel in your heart of hearts that if you speak the name of this cipher, you may not be able to speak again. And the ghost whispers to you, "Evil begets evil. Only carry it, but don't read it. Cover it like your sister said."
Okay, I'm gonna I'm just gonna like tear off my cloak and just throw it over the chest. And then say, "Yep, nothing's wrong with this. Everything's fine. We shouldn't touch it anymore."
Badger goes, "Right. Nobody touch it. Hand checks at all times." That is if Marduk allows hand checks at all times.
I trust my sister.
What a rest stop that was.
I'm
Wow.
pretty sure she knows what she's talking about entirely. There couldn't possibly be any fault or failure in that. So go ahead.
You approach the pyramid. There is a large crack, and as you approach the large crack, you notice strange signs appearing near the crack, sort of dancing electrically around the heavy stone, the black stone. And it is in a writing that is unfamiliar to all of you, except Veriside. Veriside, would you like to attempt to decipher this writing?
Yes, I would.
It's just a task difficulty of 2.
Ooh, okay. It's actually, does it require concentration?
Not for you, no.
Oh, good. That's nice. Okay. I got it. 6.
All right, you got a 6.
The skin on my teeth, I paid attention in this class. This is good.
These are mathematical equations, algebra formulas, combinatorics, advanced maths, calculus, and they are dancing. And you know that this is a place where the dead come to depart this realm and go to a land far beyond. This is a place where those known as the pharaohs are laid to rest. Those are great practitioners of science and math, and the keepers of the arcs to worlds beyond this one. But every single one of them are dead, and you may in fact encounter a pharaoh inside.
Being a warrior who rides the lightning, am I able to ascertain the nature of this electricity? Does it seem to be dangerous in proximity to the pyramid, or is it locked into these signs?
Make a task 2 intellect check.
Okay.
So roll a d20. 6 or higher.
It's a 6.
All right, so you succeed. You know that this is affixed to the stone. If there was no stone, it would appear on the ground. But this particular ones would only appear on the stone. It means there's a pharaoh nearby.
Okay.
It would only appear if there was a pharaoh near.
All right. That's as this happens, I kind of pull my horse back as it rears up. The storm still kind of flickering behind us. Sisters, whatever resides within here is ancient and present, so be on your guard. And as that happens, I kind of put my hand on the larger sword fixed to my back and step. Are we? How close are we to the front of the pyramid, or the
You're about, I'd say, 25 feet. So it would be very easy to get inside.
Is there anything to perhaps affix the bridle of our horses to if we were to enter on foot?
Yes. You notice there are. It looks like there's the signs of a camp that has not been touched in probably 30 or 40 years. It was probably a camp used by those who forced these pyramids to be built. And it's difficult to discern the nature of those who built it.
Anything that could possibly be used as a hitching post?
Yes, absolutely. There's plenty of places to hitch a horse.
Okay, as I step off my horse and begin to hitch it, I yell back to the family and say, let's take a moment and see if there's anything of use within this discarded camp.
Brother, I have missed your insight. You have always played such a critical role in our family's endeavors.
She said the thing. You take 3 points of intellect damage. No. No. All right. You do find something, Marduk, and I'm going to deal it to you. You find, and I would like you, there will be a spot on this card. I'm going to deal it to you in roll 20. Roll 20 is kind of weird. You're going to get cards in your hand, and you can view what they are. So this is the form that it takes. You please read the one that says magic. So that's what you find. And then this thing has a power. And the power it has is, let me check. I will allow you to take this card. So it has a antidote. So you may also take this card into your hand.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes. So this is a cipher, and this is going to be, go ahead and roll 1d6 and add 2 to it, and that's the level of it. So you find an antidote that takes the form of the card that was dealt to you, and it does exactly what that cipher says. In this case, you may read it out loud to the party, or keep it a secret to yourself.
So just both cards or the first one?
The first card, and there's one that's labeled magic. That's the form that it takes, and then the entry for antidote on the second card.
All right, let me see here. I'm looking for the magic element of this.
Yes.
Where did I find that? My apologies.
So go ahead and take the first card from your hand, play it on the playing area and roll 20, and then simply flip it over, and we can piece this together.
So I'll take card. Alrighty. Oh, there we go. I see. All right. So trying to organize my visuals here. All right. So I have. Do I just drag it forward to play it?
Yeah. You can just take it from your hand, drop it on there, so you have an antidote, and then the other card in your hand as well. It has a black back on it.
Yes.
So it is an oil lamp that if you pour this oil on a wound, it will end poison, paralysis, disease, if it is in the user system. So you find this ancient oil lamp, and it has some oil, and it's a one-use item. And that's the name of the game. That is a cipher. And is there anything else you would like to do in the camp?
Not me in particular. I'm just kind of preparing our intro. Sisters.
In what manner would you like to enter? And you hear a raspy voice speaking from the large crack by the arithmetic signs. He goes, I will lead you to the crystal.
Sword out in front.
Yeah, and then he starts mumbling. Polynomial, paradox, perfect numbers. And he's kind of speaking in these strange mathematical terms, bright triangles. And it's almost as if it's a spell. And you see this corpse head kind of flop out. Very large, beautiful, ornate headdress on this gent. His eyes do glow red. Mytia, you can see he is a benign creature, though.
Mytia immediately places a hand on Marduk's shoulder and says, "So it's okay, brother. Benign. Let's not be too hasty to jump to conclusions, or we end up tangling and cutting lines that have been set into place."
I trust in that, sister. However, sometimes conclusions have kept me alive this far, but I go ahead and latch my leather strap that contains the blade in its sheath to show that I've locked my aggression away.
Sebastian speaks up. He goes, "Should I leave this evil box or lug it with us?"
We take it with us.
All right. He pulls out a rather large belt, kind of ties it around, and wears it almost like a turtle shell. And he kind of slunches, and it gives you, he's trying to look as if he's showing no pain.
Mm-hmm.
And you think he's beyond pain now. And he kind of waddles.
I go and give him a little kiss on the cheek for thank you.
And it's like kissing a pumice stone that an old
I'm sure
man
it's
uses
fantastic.
to rub off his bunions. And it is just it's a rather unpleasant cheek, but you can feel kind of the yielding appreciation on the side of his face. And like a tear forms in his eye that he wipes. Says, "Thank you."
All good things come to those in time.
No, he doesn't say it. I had to make it a little bad boy Grant.
Of course.
So, yeah, Sebastian heaves, and the pyramid itself is rather straight corridors. This was clearly designed with a direct intent. Now, do any of you want to converse with the pharaoh who leads the way? Veriside?
Yeah, I think so.
I
Not much
think
of a converser, so
I kind of point at Silhouette because she's golden like a pharaoh, right? Like, perhaps.
Does
Our
she know
little
any
one.
maths, though? The pharaoh, he's like, "Any maths? Does she speak
Got any maths, man?
theorems, equations?"
I think Silhouette actually would have like kind of walked up beside Veriside and like linked arms with her.
Actually, I could. One of my foci connections is that my foci connection that I've chosen is that I wrote a poem to help keep bad dreams away from one of the members of the party, and I feel like I would give that to the youngest. And the poem, as it would have been written in Atlantis, might just be maths.
So
Ooh.
you recite these equations to her, and she kind of looks, and she's like a PEMDAS, parentheses, exponent, multiply, divide, addition, subtraction. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
this will work most definitely. It's
the
supposed
pharaoh
to keep.
does kind of sidle up to you. He goes,
Yeah.
"You know maths." Kind of gives you this crooked thumbs up. It's pointing every which way. And he goes, "I'd very much like to discuss your opinions on these things after the crystal's healed, because this world is bleeding. It is staining the sands red and crimson."
After then.
You are taken to a room. There is a large crystal of many colors floating in the center of the room. There is, it is hanging over a hole, and in this room, there's celestial murals on the wall. There is a stone frame floating in midair around the crystal, almost as like a type of scaffolding, so the crystal could be serviced. The pharaoh says, "Took me years to fabricate that. A lot of math, a lot of time." Then there is a piercing white light coming from a hole in the crystal. And it is here that you must figure out and discern how to heal it. And with that, Sebastian removes the belt. He asks if he might set this down. Does he receive permission to?
I lift the hand and say, yes, Sebastian, please take a rest. You've worked hard enough.
Thank you. And he speaks a few words over the box. Very difficult to understand. It sounds like he's muttering under his breath. And with that, a faint orange glow fills the room. And the box begins to separate into pieces and segments.
Can I ward myself at this point? Just gonna throw the head up.
Can.
Yep.
How do you all respond to this?
Silhouette just kind of like tips her head to the side, and she kind of looks to her brother and she says, "Is it supposed to do that?"
I go ahead and unsnap the leather strap on the sword on my back and slowly begin to draw it from its sheath, eyes very intent there, and taking a step forward to put myself between the box and the rest of my family.
And with that, a form begins to appear over the box. It is first faint, the outline of a female form, and then it begins to glow, first like faint coals, and you hear a faint humming, a tune that is strange to you, almost counter to any other melody you have heard in your life, working against it. With that, a creature appears. And her hair is aflame, and her hair is on fire. And Sebastian goes, "The deed's done. Do I get my reward now?" And he kind of points at Atropos and gives you kind of a knowing, "I got you."
I'm putting my marbles in my hands and getting them levitating and just waiting. I think the fun's about to start, yeah?
The blade that I had kind of at the ready is drawn and pointed partially at the moment at Sebastian, and I just say, "What have you done?"
Well,
It was awfully cramped in that box. He just let me out. What lovely people. Such beautiful girls. And such a strong escort. Sebastian, you didn't say you were bringing me so many guests.
Well, I kind of needed them to get past the creepy-eyed woman, Mr. Funky McDirty Uncle, and I kind of wanted to get cake and a kiss on the way. And he's got a horse. It makes it much easier to lug that box.
Cake and a kiss, is that the reward you wanted?
Well, that and what you promised me in my dreams.
Of course, I believe I promised you a reward fitting your actions. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Majesty. Pledge faithful allegiance, time and all eternity, all that. I even got a ring in case you want to seal the deal. Too soon? No.
Oh, I'm afraid you might have misunderstood. However, I'm more than happy to give you the promised reward. Would you like it?
I can see this not ending well.
Well, Sebastian?
And with that, a ghostly aura falls from her fingertips and it lands on Sebastian. Now, Astra Firminante, please describe to us the form that Sebastian now takes.
Oh, well, I'm going to turn him into something that he deserves. So I'm thinking when I say my spell, he is going to turn into just a slimy, mucky, purple octopus.
Oh no. And
So
yeah,
here we go, Sebastian. Here's your reward. Sic tibi metipsieris numera digna tuis, Sebastian. And then I will extend my hand towards him.
All right. His body kind of expands. He grows 8 legs that kind of flip flop every which way. His eyes kind of float about his body now, and he is a slimy muctopus, just kind of a creature of filth from the abyss or below, rolling about.
You see, darling, I needed your help, but I have no need of allies who are willing to, how shall we say it, destroy everything for their own gain. I think you'll do quite well as a muctopus.
He seems to agree. What does the party do?
If at this point, with the blade extended, I kind of look towards this strange, kind of ethereal female that has transformed what I thought was my faithful companion into this terrible, and to use a modern terminology, ultros-looking motherfucker.
Yes.
I'm gonna kind of glare back at her and say, I apologize, but it seems that this is not your place to punish him, but mine.
Oh, be my guest.
As I kind of go into a defensive stance, I lurch forward and make the initial strike with my blade full screaming arc down towards what I thought was my friend.
Yeah, make a go ahead and make a weapon attack. It's a are you using your giant amazing sword or the prettier?
Yes.
All right. Are you going to put any electricity into it, riding the lightning, pumping?
Actually, yes, I will. I will use my my shock ability to go ahead and add the additional point of damage for the attack.
Octopus soup. Now roll the attack, and it's you just have to get a 6 or higher.
I rolled an 11, so.
Woo! So you hit him and just he is cut in twain. And you notice he starts to form back together, almost against his will and the will of the sword, almost as if this ethereal creature is keeping him together. And then the bolts from the blade separate him, and he splatters on both walls. Prima Diavola, this concerns you. You know that blade, and you know the order that is allowed to carry it. What do you do?
Well, I'll look at him and say, oh, you know, I could have let you do that as many times as you wanted. I could have remade him for you to punish him eternally, actually.
My face crinkles at the strange offer, and defensively I leap backward a few feet, blade still drawn to the side, and start looking back at my sisters, and I'm speechless at the moment.
I need the sisters to each make an intellect task 5 check. You feel chains starting to form around you. What say you do?
I have a skill where tasks involving social interaction, pleasant or otherwise, I'm good at. Would you consider this one of those situations?
Sure. You might be able to convince. You can reduce it to a 4.
Okay.
I'll allow that.
Did I do that right?
Yes. In fact, so you had a major effect. So you resist the chains. Atropos, describe to us. So what happens is the chains are now at your command. Who are you going to sick them on in the room?
Back at this stony bitch right away.
All right. So I need you to make an intellect test, task 7. you might want to use some effort to lower it.
I was going to say,
it's possible to roll a 21 on a 20-sided die.
How do I use effort again? I apologize.
What's that?
How do I use effort again? I apologize.
So you have a pool of points.
And I can just take as many points from those pools as I want.
Well, you can use 2 points to lower the task by 1, which would lower
from
it to
any pool.
No, from your intellect in this case.
Okay. Let's make sure I'm doing this right and go for it. I have nothing happening up. So difficulty 7, roll effect 2, damage effect 0 is what I'm going for here?
Yes. Or difficulty 6.
I'm going to roll 1d20 because it is not
roll a 20-sided
for me.
You fail, so the chains go to attack the Prima Diavola, and she stops them mid-air, and you see the spectral form of almost like mummified dogs catching the chains in their mouths, floating towards you, leading the chains towards you. Now, Mytia, you find yourself bound. Silhouette, you find yourself bound.
I still need to roll, and I would like to spend effort.
Okay, you can lower it to a 4 from a 5.
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna spend an XP to reroll that.
Okay.
Because I got a 7. Oh, well, I got a 1.
Okay.
You said that die hated you and you used it anyway.
I still.
So here's the deal. You're going to get chained, but you have a choice.
Okay.
You can save Silhouette and prevent her from being chained, but chains are going to go on Atropos. So that's what's going to occur. So Atropos is now bound. What say you, Devil?
I mean, you're really fighting for nothing. I haven't done anything to you. Why are you attacking me?
Matter of principle.
Principle? Oh, I'd like to know what principle allows you to attack somebody who's obviously just been released from a prison.
I think it depends on the person who put you in there to begin with. What did you say? It
Did
depends
you
on what
bother
you did
to
get in
ask?
there.
Was that your Chinese accent?
Did you? Did you bother to ask?
I know that, but
Generally, when you come out of prisons, you don't just go and put chains on people. It's not right. Or is it?
I mean, it's a bit poetic, don't you think?
Actually, it is.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm a very poetic person. Now,
why don't we start again then?
You sisters, I need you all to make an intellect test. Task 6 now, as you feel yourselves changing. You feel yourselves changing from your normal self to you start to see with your eyes that boy that's been following Veriside. He's starting to become very, very clear. And not just him, those dogs that were leading the chains in their mouths, they're starting to take shape, almost as if you're crossing over from this world to the next. Mar'rd, what would you like to do?
And I'm noticing, but what do I see? Am I crossing over with them?
What you see, you see your sisters. It looks as if the light is going out of their body. Veriside is starting to grow horns out of her head, it looks like. Mytia her body starting to become covered in eyes. Atropos's fingernails are starting to grow 3 feet long, and then a tongue the size of a sleeping bag. That's the way this sort of appears to you. Now, Silhouette is not bound. So you and Silhouette can decide what you want to try.
Okay, my eyes are darting around the room, and the sweat starting to form at the top of my brow. I look back and see that Silhouette is still in the same space as me, and I thrust my hand back towards her in like a sign of hold. With my other hand, it's holding the large kind of moonlight sword that's kind of that translucent, almost crystal or sort of a semi-transparent rock type material the energy and electricity still kind of cracking on the blade, I drive the blade up at the side as the electricity dissipates, and then I slip it and jam it into the ground at my side, staring up, making eye contact with this newly arrived entity that seems to have been threatening my family. And I just, with a very intent and clear voice, looking at her, say, "Stop."
Oh, stop, or you're going to use that sword against me, knight.
The sword is at my side. I'm asking you now to cease what you're doing and let us talk.
I'm going to think about it for a minute and then kind of put my hands out. Then let's talk.
Then release the chains. I talk as my sisters talk as one.
Why should I release the chains? They can talk perfectly well bound up.
I look back towards Silhouette with a look of almost, for the brief moment and all the time that we've been family, and you've always looked up to me as the strong brother figure, this is probably the first time that you've seen a look of weakness or hopelessness in my eyes, and a kind of a wordless, "Please help."
Silhouette's going to rush forward, drawing her sword, which none of her siblings have ever seen her wield a weapon.
Silhouette, make an attack roll.
Okay.
28.
8.
You can spend effort to lower it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to. I'm going to spend an effort. Okay.
No. It's a swing and a miss. And with that, you do notice the dogs with the chains are they're starting to set their eyes on you, but the boy who's been following Veriside is coming between you and the spectral dogs, with a look of fear in his ghostly eyes. What says the devil?
Well, now one of your sisters has tried to attack me. Would you like to talk, or would you like to fight?
If I noticed this entity seems rather transfixed with my weapon, do I see a look of, amongst this very hardened exterior, any sign of fear or worry whenever it comes to the blade that I've been wielding?
She knows the blade well, but it is less the blade she fears, and more the order that is the only order that can carry it.
Then, my grip still on the handle of the blade, I kind of press it forward so it emerges an inch or two from the ground that I thrust it in, still my eyes connecting on this entity, and just say, "Then, you've been released. That apparently was the first stage. What do you wish now? What is your purpose here? What are you trying to do?"
Well, if you're really serious about talking, I could perhaps be persuaded to unchain these girls. Is that what you really want, knight?
At the very least, have them release the rest of them. I'll wait, if need be.
You haven't answered my question. What is it you want here? You've been freed.
Are you sure you want to know?
If I didn't, I wouldn't be asking.
Well, you see, knight, I've been in that box for a very long time. Probably, I'd ask what year it is, but it wouldn't really matter to me. At least 1,000.
Oh, fucker.
And I've seen everything. I see this world. I see the beautiful city and the brilliant people of Atlantis. I see the brave Khan riders across the Chrysa plains and the courage of the men and women who fight to free Octon Lake. I see the white city of Battlehymn protecting their infant Messiah. And I see all of these falling before me, tumbling into the abyss forever. I will drive them all to hell, starting this day and starting with you. Does that answer your question?
I believe it does. And I'm going to draw my blade and striker.
All right, make an attack roll.
All right.
For you, it's a task 6.
Task 6. Can I spend an effort?
Yep, and you can lower it to a 5. And you can spend an XP if you miss.
That's true. I will spend an XP because that was a miss. Set one more XP. A 19, much better.
All right, 19 hits, and it does extra damage to her. So she is pierced and wounded by the blade. It puts a deep gash into her body, which it looks as if she is full of sad coals, and smoke arises from her. And with that, it is now the devil's turn.
Oh, you're muted.
I just fixed it. I know. That's my signature move. Muting myself. Okay. All right. That hurt. And it wasn't very knightly of you.
I need all of you sisters to make another intellect test. Yes, Marsie.
So I have a cipher, and I'm wondering if I have a hand free to write a mathematical equation.
Okay, make an intellect task. Task 4.
Even just a finger. All right. Let's give it a shot.
Good old finger math.
Yeah, finger math is good. Hey, I got it. 12.
All right. What are you doing with the cipher?
Oh, I'm blessing my weapon to be able to attack incorporeal creatures and things, and hopefully I can use it on the chains.
Make an attack on the chains.
All right. Well, that costs my action to use the cipher, so it's somebody else's turn.
Cipher system, no action economy.
Yep, there's 0 of it. So yeah, my entire turn is just like stressed out and like just writing on it. Is the Pharaoh around?
The Pharaoh, you notice he is getting bound, but he's kind of like fighting off his chains. He's like, I'm already a demon. And he's like, you know, kind of like pimp slapping these chains back and forth. With that, I need Marduk and Silhouette to both make speed defense checks as massive fireballs erupt from the walls. The room begins filling with a noxious and poisonous gas.
Also, when it comes to the intellect roll for the sisters, I'm spending some effort to bring it down.
Okay.
What's our difficulty for the speed test?
For speed, it's a task 5. So you need 15 or higher. You can spend effort.
So
I'm trained in all speed defense rolls.
I am too.
I have a speed of 14 with an edge of 1. Does that allow me any benefits?
You can so you can spend 2 instead of 3 points from the pool to lower the task.
I will do that.
All right.
I'm going to lower mine as well. So now I'm down to 5.
What was the difficulty for the intellect check?
It was 5.
For the intellect test is 5. But the speed test for those that are getting hit by fireballs and massive gas, I believe is 8.
Okay, sorry, I realized that I rolled up the wrong difficulty, but
that's fine. Just
That's
if I screw up too badly on this, I'm going to use a point of experience to reroll.
Yeah, I passed with a 12, and that's good.
yeah. So I re-rolled it and got a 17.
No, it was fine. Just go with the first roll. It's fine. You know, you can use an XP to re-roll.
No, I used an XP to re-roll.
Okay.
So 17.
And I used 3 for my speed pool and rolled an 11.
So an 11 is not good enough. So you take 6 points of damage from your might pool.
Right.
You are hit pretty hard by that. And Silhouette, what did you hit?
I was trained, so.
Okay,
I
yes.
succeeded.
You actually dodge. You are okay. With that, Marduk and Silhouette, and then Veriside, and then Atropos and Mytia may all go. So let's go in that order. Marduk?
Okay. Being pretty heavily wounded right now, looking around the room, how are the rest of my sisters faring? Are they all still in chains?
Mytia is
yes,
free.
except for Silhouette, and but they seem to be resisting being turned into demons. But the transformation has begun.
All right, the transformation has begun, but it's currently resisting at the moment.
Yes.
I'm hurt pretty bad too. Okay, hold on. Let me check I have something. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and glance around at the sisters that are captured, noticing that Silhouette's weapon couldn't strike her. And while I managed to harm this Prima Diavola, how is the Prima Diavola still within range to strike, or is she like pulling away from me?
You could reach her. Most other people would not be able to, but you are swift and ride the lightning. You could close the gap if needed.
I will attempt to close the gap again. I'm going to go ahead and strike again, since we have a moment here where it seems like we've managed to hold things at bay to try and turn the tide.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that would be... I'm going to use my last experience point to reroll that. That was a 3. That's another 3. So...
All right, so go ahead and describe how this looks fictionally. You know, the great knight with the massive sword.
As I, after the first strike, when she was in proximity, managed to take impact and carve that large wound in the front of this devilish creature, she begins to drift upward to kind of pull out of my reach. At that moment, you watch as my muscles tense and my grip on my sword intensifies. And there's a burst of electricity as I dart upward in a flash towards her. And as I go to swing, how would you react?
I would actually just put my hand out, which would stop you from connecting. There's enough, I have enough power to stop you from actually being able to reach me. And I'm just going to laugh at you.
All right. As she chuckles, it deflects me and I fall back onto my ass, the blade kind of scattering a few inches from my grip. And I'm on the ground, just looking up wide-eyed.
Yeah.
Well, that was unfortunate.
You kind of catch out of your peripheral, you know, the slain Sebastiapus, you know, that has just one of his dangling eyeballs just kind of there looking. You sense a touch of regret in that eye. He did not know fully what he did and was beguiled. Now, with that, Veriside, you've got a cipher you're going to use?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was to use it, so now I have a sword that can affect incorporeal creatures at least, and at your behest affect these chains.
You can attack the chains.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to attack the chains.
It's a task 5, so you can use effort and experience if needed.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I'm going to use some of my... Can I affect this with might now that I've used it on a sword? Or does it still have to be
do you carry? Is
intellect?
It one that pierces or one that slashes?
It's one that slashes.
Okay, so use it and do might.
All right. 16. Ooh.
16 definitely hits. So you hit, and you feel the chains beginning to break. The amount of health they have is essentially based on its level, and your sword does how many points? 2 or 4. Okay, so they will probably give on the next round, potentially.
Do I get any kind of reaction to that?
Not just yet. Let's let Atropos go.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the cipher, am I still chained? Can I move my hands at all? I think we discussed before we started the campaign that I could
Just
kind
tell
of
me how you
move-
want to move the. Tell me what you want to do.
I
It's not-
want to use
alright.
my cipher that has the modified 18 to 20 on a ranged weapon and fling one of my marbles at her, attempting to send her into a different recursion.
Ooh, interesting. So it's going to be a task 8. So you'll have to use some effort to lower it to a 7. Do you have any other ways to lower it?
I have an
Mytia
edge.
could use her action to assist you.
I have an edge of 1 in my intellect pool, so could I lower
Okay.
it by up to 3, bringing it to a 5?
No, you could lower it by 1. So
Okay.
you can spend 2 points of intellect pool to lower it 1, and then you can use. No, I think that's that.
That's okay. So that brings it to a 6.
If it's a
And then
light
you can
weapon,
use your turn to help you. Oh,
if
yes.
it's a light weapon, you get an asset on it.
Okay, so light weapon, so you can reduce it again. They're marbles, yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to use a
Well,
point.
technically, it's a cipher.
Oh, never mind.
I'm going to use a point of experience if I miss this.
Okay,
That is definitely
try again.
so close to sending her away. Still hits her.
Yes. So, she vanishes for a round. Now, I'm going to roll a D100.
Don't like.
And okay, so I got a 22. So the Prima Diavola is gone for the moment, and you are now out of initiative. But you notice the chains are still there, almost as if she's reaching from beyond time and space. You also notice the Pharaoh seems to be fading away. What do you do? So Mytia, it's your turn.
So I'm still trapped in the chains. All of my suddenly new eyes are just as wide-eyed and distant staring as always. I want to focus my gaze upon these chains, and I would like to try to use Onslaught.
What does Onslaught do? Go ahead and describe that to me.
Onslaught, don't have it up completely, but I use my mental powers to use I'm doing the physical version, so I am applying force damage essentially to these chains to try to.
Okay. How much force damage can you apply?
It's 4 damage. Just
Okay,
straight.
so it's on the verge of breaking. And with that, Silhouette, what are you doing?
I would like to.
Oh, you notice those spectral dogs are chasing you around too. There's the boy trying to defend you.
My boy.
I would still like to try and break the chains.
Whose chains?
Mytia.
Okay, go ahead, and it's going to be a. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Okay.
Difficulty 4.
Okay. I want to re-roll.
Okay.
I'm gonna use XP.
You may re-roll.
Okay. Bless.
Okay, so you do that minor effect. You break the chains off of Mytia. And Mytia, you notice something strange as you do this. You notice everyone's strings of fate at this moment have been snipped and cut. And I need everyone to make a task 7 intellect roll.
Okay.
Just chilling there with your glass of wine.
Chill.
I am definitely using effort.
I have an experience point
too.
to give away. Can I only do that at the end?
You actually do it at the time that you're given
Okay.
it.
I've never given that to anyone. I was going to give it to Nadia at the time then.
I actually had an experience point to give as well, and I was going to give it to Atropos. So
Hi.
Oh, just circle them around.
All right.
Okay, so
I'm
what difficulty
using-
again?
7.
7
And
Okay,
what type?
intellect.
I'm pulling from my pool to lower it to 6.
Yeah, I'm lowering it to 6.
Yeah.
Nope.
There is.
Is there a limit on how much you can pull from your pool? Because I'm already at 6. I know that I want to spend a round healing soon, but she's going to come back, and I'm a little
There is a
scared.
limit you can spend. You can't just burn all of your points. So
Okay.
you're allowed to use the edge one time. So who let's see. Did everyone roll?
I have not rolled yet. I think I'm just going to be outright failing it. I don't think I can reduce it anymore.
Okay, so
until I heal.
So 6 points of might damage to everyone who failed. And essentially, you hear a voice screaming in your head from beyond, breaking your souls, and you feel the demon transformation. There are legions of devils forming in the room. It has gotten proverbially worse, and the stones are beginning to collapse. The crystal has not been healed, and a voice begins to speak, and a voice pierces and is spoken into the mind of Marduk. Astra Ferminante, the Prima Diavola, what does it say?
Listen well, knight. You know what I can do. Somewhere, deep in the recesses of your lore, you remember. So, I offer you a deal.
What the fuck?
I need time. Time to regain the strength your order took from me while I screamed all alone in that box for 1,000 years. I need to return to the depths of hell and gather my power. But I will not be alone. Not this time. I offer you a choice. I can take all of these girls, such pretty girls, I wouldn't know where to start, honestly. I will tear their souls from their flesh and bind them eternally to me. They will love me, and they will worship me as their god. Neither soul nor mind will be their own, and they will be thralls, if not witty companions. Or I take you, just your soul. You will abide with me eternally as my companion. And while I will take this world, that is without question, these girls will have lived long, full lives and be gone, and you will be at my side. You will keep your mind, for I cannot abide an ignorant companion. To the deepest hell, your soul will be bound to me, and I will break you until you love me, Knight of the Distant Star. For as you will know, I am your god, and I am your queen. Do we have a deal?
No!
So I'm hearing this coming through from just the break in the crystal kind of
break in the crystal from beyond. It's piercing your heart and your soul, and you can feel her reforming. She is traveling across time and space, and when she returns, within 2 rounds, she will claim the soul of everyone.
Okay. Whose action is it?
She has offered you a deal, so it's your turn.
Grabbing the handle of my blade, I'm hurt. I am bleeding from the corner of my mouth, from my left ear. You can see, even amongst my knight armor itself, there is crimson kind of spilling from underneath one of the plates. And the burned singe marks from the fireball seem to have charred the edge of my throat, but the skin is blackened and cracked. I kind of pull myself up with labor, using my sword as a guide, and I just begin to slowly walk towards the location of where she vanished. And in my head and with my voice, I say, "Very well. And I accept these terms."
So,
oh no.
the life begins to leave from your body, and you're feeling faint, and you're feeling to drop. Can you make an intellect check for me? I'm not going to tell you the task difficulty. I think I will put it in chat so they can see.
Okay. 18.
Okay, so
Finally got a good roll again.
you are allowed one action right now. You see Silhouette, your sister's turning to demons. You are allowed to speak instructions to your sister, Silhouette, to pass on before your body dies. What do you say?
As I feel kind of the essence of my body begin to deteriorate, I turn around, and mingling with the bit of blood on my face, there's just streaks of tears down my cheeks as I smile towards Silhouette, kind of reach out my gauntleted hand as the blade falls to the ground beside me. And I say, "Sister, do not despair. There is far greater things you four can do that I cannot. Just let them know that I loved them as I love you. I know that I will live on as long as the four of you do." And as that, I reach to my chest with the other hand. And if I have the action to do so, I'd like to invoke my Heart of the Phoenix cipher.
Okay, so you're reaching to do that. Now, you will be able to do it on the next round, most likely. You got instructions out to Syl. The Prima Diavola reemerges, and I believe she has something she would like to say. She's muted.
Again. Hello again, Knight. And I'm going to reach out and take him by the throat and turn him to pin him against the crystal. And I'm going to lean in very closely and start whispering the ritual words. Mane mecum est in inferno, et celai ceciderunt equisauratus, et eritis mi in eternum particeps cultorque. Ego conteram vos ad me diligis, Marduk. And then I'm just going to smile.
What do you do, Syl?
I'm running over. I don't want her to do this to him.
I'm going to hold out my hand and block her.
I'm going to try and push
So?
past.
So here's what I want you to roll a d20, Syl, and tell me what you get.
Okay. A 20.
Nat freaking 20.
Yeah,
So
girl.
not only does she push past, so you hold out your hand to block her, Prima Diavola, and you totally get Syl slapped. She like, it's, you know, it's like gently, she kind of like dunks your forehead, and her hand with Marduk's together presses the heart of the Phoenix. A fiery circle begins to surround Marduk's body. His soul is separated from his form. It is carried deep to the distant star. Now, the ritual has begun. Syl, I need you to make an intellect task right now because you are standing in the ritual space.
Okay. What's my difficulty?
This is a difficulty 6.
Before she does that, I believe he made an agreement. So, before she manages to make her skill check, I am going to smile with blood in my teeth because she slapped me. And I'm going to say, "Oh no, no you don't. I have waited far too long for this." And I'm going to turn and look at Marduk right in the eyes. "I have only one last decision to make, Marduk." And lean in really close and just say, "How do I want to do this?" And I'm going to put my hand on his chest, and you start seeing black energy show up. And as I'm looking right in his eyes, I'm going to shoot a shadow bolt directly through his heart.
As the bolt pierces his heart and the light is leaving his eyes, a smile of peace comes across his face. He knows that he may die, but his soul is saved. Not only that, a deal is a deal when you deal with devils, and contracts must be honored. His sisters begin to return to their form. Fire swirls around Marduk's form completely, and his soul is carried far away to the distant star, where he awaits to be reunited with his body. Syl, I need you to roll a d20.
God. 18.
In 18, the light is leaving you. What is the final words you want to say to your sisters before the light leaves you and you change completely for having stood in the ritual space?
I loved you each more than I ever loved. I would do it again for any of you.
Syl's hair changes from gold to black. The light leaves her heart completely. She no longer feels. She no longer loves. And a need begins to grow within her. And that need we'll talk about on session 2 in 2 weeks, guys. That is the end.
Can I try to break out of these? Can I try to break out of these chains?
Marsie's like, let me roll another nat 1.
Wait, you should have let me. I had a spell for that. You would have gotten more creepy Latin.
was the youngest one. You don't touch her.
Not the baby. God damn it.
Baby.
So wait, you're mad about your baby sister, and I just killed Matt Mercer.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but that's old hat in this industry. I just want to say, like, I got maybe 300 DMs on Twitter that said, "Can I kill Matt Mercer on your show?" I was like, "What do you guys got against this guy? He's like the nicest kid in school."
Well, I would actually like to point out that Grant was like, "Oh, it's your birthday on at the end of April." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Would you like to kill Matt Mercer for your birthday?" I was like, "Yes, I would."
There's no one else I'd want to do that. So, sorry, chat.
I'm a terrible person.
How about that surprise cast member, though? What?
That was pretty cool.
So let's cut to the credits. We've gone way over time. You know where to find us online. It's all linked next to our heads.
Enjoy
and
the
if you're here, you know where to find us. But let's cut to the credits.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I am thankful, my beloved.